Good morning, Nursery. We're going to go through the home learning for this week. This week's story is Dragon Post, which is a really nice story. Each page has a letter that the little boy gets back about his pet dragon and how to look after it. It's a really nice book. If you can get hold of an actual physical copy, that would be amazing, because you can actually pull the letters out of their envelopes as they're stuck in the book. So for our communication this week, we're going to look at question words. So we're going to watch The Ugly Duckling, but you can use these questions for any story, and it's a really good skill for children to develop for when they become readers, as they'll have to be able to understand what they're reading. But for now, we're looking at what, where and why. So what the character's doing, where the character's going, and why they're doing certain things, or why they're feeling certain things. So we've left some questions in this folder for this week that you can use, but you can literally apply this to any story. So if you don't want to do The Ugly Duckling, you can do one of your child's favourite stories, because then they're already familiar with it. I've also included a PowerPoint version of The Ugly Duckling, so you can read that as well. Our PSED this week is back to challenges. So what we want to do is set a goal that the children want to work on over the next few days or weeks, or it could even be months. So it could be like a personal goal, like being able to dress themselves independently. So you could start off with, I'm going to put my socks on, and my grown-up will help me with the other things. Or it could be things like they put their feet in their tights or their trousers, and then they have help pulling them up and doing the button up. Just doing little things to start with and building it up. This is going to be a really important skill for the children who start reception in September, because they will need to get changed for PE. So if we start practicing now, hopefully they'll be ready by the time they come to change for PE in September reception. But also it could be a learning goal. So it could be if they're really struggling with accounting, we're going to learn to count. So it might be their first challenge is to start counting to 3. Once they can do 1, 2, 3, you go to 5, and then you go to 10, and you build it up. And then you can also either extend the goal, or you can make new goals once they've achieved that, but make a big deal out of it when they achieve it. And as I said, these goals can be short term, so they can last a couple of days, or they could be something they practice again and again and again. For PE this week, our big movements, we're going to play Simon Says. So we're not going to worry too much about the rules of Simon Says, but it's really just getting the children moving in different ways. So it could be things like you get them to run somewhere or walk somewhere. They can run and walk in different ways, like on their tiptoes, big steps, little steps. You can get them to walk forwards, backwards, crawl, go sideways. It's just exploring movement. Now, fine motor activity, this one is really fiddly, but it's a really good finger exercise to build those strong fingers that children are going to need when they start writing. So we've included some instructions, but we're going to do some paper weaving. So in school we'll be talking about how castles had tapestries hanging up, and then doing some weaving with the paper. If your child is really confident, you could even use strips of material, if you have them handy, like ribbon and string, to do weaving. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's literally about those finger movements, getting them exercising those fingertips. Expressive arts and design this week, and the world. So we're going to have a day at the castle. So we're going to pretend to be living in a castle. You can dress up if you like, princesses, kings, servants. You're going to do chores around the castle, such as sweeping and tidying your room, and you can make food for an afternoon tea. And we're going to actually do this in nursery as well. We're going to have an afternoon tea. So we've included some recipes for you, and the instructions for a cucumber sandwich are really child friendly, so your child can look at them and try and follow the instructions, because they've got pictures, so they should be able to explain what to do as they help you make the afternoon tea. And then you can always turn it into an indoor picnic, because it's a bit cold at the moment, but an indoor picnic, put a blanket down or sit at the table and just make a real nice afternoon about it. So it's like applying what they've learnt about life in a castle over the last few weeks. And then our other activity is about building dens. So we're going to make a dragon's den. So you can use the furniture in your house, blankets, duvets, pillows, boxes, anything really, and make a den. And if you're feeling up to it, you could even have your afternoon tea in your den. Maths this week, we're going to look for patterns. So there's a little pattern PowerPoint that you can use just to see what pattern means, and then you can go for a walk and look for patterns where you live. So these photos here are just literally patterns that you might see every day. So patterns on the fences, road markings, pavement markings, these fences, there's quite a few of those about, and just look for the patterns. How many patterns can they spot? Can they spot any really interesting patterns? If the weather's bad, you can look for patterns in your own home, tiles on the wall, wallpaper, patterns on your clothing. Can you make a pattern with your paper weaving? And then literacy and phonics, we're going to challenge the children to mark make. So going back to the story of this week, we are going to find out what advice we would give Alex, the character in the book, about his dragon, and we can write a letter. So you can give your child just a plain piece of paper and get them to mark make. So when we say mark making in nursery, it could be scribbles, it could be lines, it could be circles. Some children are writing letters that they know. The most important thing is they're picking up that pencil and they're putting it on a piece of paper and making a mark, and being able to say that what their marks mean. So after your child's written it, you go, oh, you've written a letter, what does it say? And get them to tell you what it says, so they're applying that meaning to their marks. And then to make it a little bit more fun, you can pop their letter in an envelope and post it through your own letterbox, or if you've got a family member who lives nearby, you can maybe ask them if they can pop the envelope in their letterbox, just to make it a little bit more fun. And then our phonics, we're going to look at the way our mouth moves when we talk. So when we talk, our mouths, our lips, our tongues have all got a little job to do, making different sounds. So what you could do is put some toys in a bag and get your child to take a toy out and say the object's name, but look in the mirror while they're doing it, so they see what their mouth's doing. And you can do it as well. And it can be quite a fun activity, because you can make some really funny faces when you talk, especially if you've got some fun toy names, which will require a lot of mouth movement. So remember, if you've got any questions, you can always pop us over an email at nursery@perfectprimary.co.uk, or you can get in touch with us on the Tapestry app. Thank you to those parents who've activated their accounts after the last email that was sent out. If you haven't already, check your email inbox and your spam or junk mail, because sometimes it goes in there, and you just follow the instructions on screen to activate the account, and you can look at all the observations we've put on since your child started nursery. Have a good week.